Understanding genetic indexes. High-quality cattle are at the heart of profitable dairy farming. This requires good quality genetics, as without this, however good your management, there is a ceiling to your herd's performance and profitability. This isn't just about genetics for milk production, but importantly also about fertility, health, welfare, and the animal's longevity, each one of which can make an important contribution to the profitability and sustainability of a herd, and all can be improved through breeding. It's important to recognise that breeding decisions are permanent and cumulative. Their effects build up over the generations, such that the problem can be introduced or cured over just a few years through the breeding choices made. This tutorial aims to identify some of the tools of genetic improvement so that better breeding decisions can be made. A genetic index, or an animal's proof, provides a measure of an animal's ability to pass its genes on to the next generation. These proofs are calculated from the data gathered from a variety of sources, such as milk recording performance records and breed herd book data. In measuring an animal's genetic merit, every effort is made to disregard the effects of its environment. This means that a 12,000 litre cow from a high input system can be compared with one in an extensive herd averaging 6,000 litres. Equally, bulls whose daughters are milking in different production systems can also be fairly compared. In the UK, most genetic indexes are expressed as predicted transmitting abilities, PTA. PTAs predict to what extent a given trait will be passed on to an animal's offspring. They allow us to identify superior individuals that are able to improve the next generation for a variety of traits. Production. The genetic index most will be familiar with is that for the production traits, milk, fat and protein. Derived from national milk recording data, it gives a direct measure of the production potential that can be expected from an animal's progeny. For example, daughters of a bull with a milk PTA of 650 kilograms milk are on average predicted to produce 650 kilograms more milk in lactation than the daughters of an average bull whose PTA is 0. Similarly, we can predict the fat percentage and protein percentage of the progeny, and all these are important considerations when it comes to breeding animals suitable for a particular milk contract. For instance, a farm producing on a milk solids contract is advised to pay particular attention to the PTAs for fat and protein, alongside the kilograms fat and protein a bull transmits, to ensure the future herd has the genetic potential to take advantage of the contract's premiums. Efficiency. As well as improving the production potential of our cows, we also need to consider the input requirements in order to improve the cow's efficiency. Direct genetic indexes for feed efficiency provide the best measure, but it's also important to consider the maintenance index, a trait which indicates the amount of additional maintenance needed to feed a larger cow versus a smaller cow. With cow size still increasing in the UK, and for those who wish to reduce feed costs and improve efficiency, it's important that the maintenance PTA is considered in bull selection. Negative scores are desirable as they indicate a reduced cow size, whereas bulls with high maintenance proofs should be avoided. Udder health. Another important factor in animal performance and well-being is its udder health. For these, AHGB provide two important genetic indexes. The first one of which is somatic cell count, or SCC. This is a trait that has been evaluated since the late 90s, with considerable success in reducing cell counts on farm. More recently, the mastitis index was introduced, calculated directly from national recorded cases of mastitis. Both somatic cell count and mastitis PTAs are expressed as a percentage, and negative PTAs are desirable, as they indicate a reduction in SCCs or cases of mastitis. For every 1 percentage point in a bull's SCC PTA, a change of 1% in his daughter's SEC is predicted. Similarly, a 1% change in a bull's mastitis PTA will result in a percentage reduction in cases of mastitis. Lameness advantage. For farmers wishing to reduce lameness and improve leg health, 3 important proofs are available to look out for. Alongside overall feet and legs and locomotion PTAs, the most important one to consider for reducing lameness is the Lameness Advantage Index. The index merges existing type data for locomotion, feet and legs, together with bone quality scores, and combines this with digital dermatitis and millions of cow records for direct lameness events on UK farms. Research has shown that Lameness Advantage PTAs can successfully be used to reduce cases of lameness in the herd. The PTAs are expressed as a percentage, with positive values being favourable. For every 1% change in a bull's Lameness Advantage PTA, a change of 1% of daughters becoming lame per lactation is predicted. Next up in our traits to highlight is cow fertility. As one of the major causes for culling, the industry has been able to focus on breeding for improved fertility since 2005, and the benefit of improved dairy cattle genetics on the national herd has been substantial. The fertility index reflects the improvement in calving intervals, as well as non-return rates a bull will pass on to his daughters. As a rough guide, every point increase in fertility index, say from +2 to +3, will decrease calving interval by 0.6 of a day, and improve non-return rates by 0.25%. As with all genetic changes, these are both permanent and will accumulate over generations of selection. Calving ability. At the end of the pregnancy period, we focus on the calving ability of the cow and calf. For this, we publish 2 separate PTAs. The first of which, and most often simply referred to as bull's calving ease figures, is the direct calving ease percentage. This is a figure which indicates the percentage improved calving ease that you can expect as a result of using a particular bull. For use in maiden heifers or general improvement in calving ease, a figure above 0 is favourable. The second associated proof is the maternal calving ease percentage. This figure, unlike the previous, relates to the calving ability of the dam, and so predicts the ease with which a daughter of that sire will give birth. Both PTAs are expressed as percentage calving ease, and positive numbers are desirable. Survival. To help us improve replacement rates, we next focus on survival of both calf and cow. We have already covered many of the traits affecting longevity, such as legs and udder health, as well as fertility. Here we highlight another trait which leads to early culling, as well as 2 important PTAs directly calculated for cow survival rates on farms. The TB advantage was introduced as a selection tool back in 2016 to help combat the devastating effects of TB. Research has shown that some bloodlines have a greater ability to resist infection than others. Using AHPA and BCMS data related to TB, we are able to produce PTAs to give an indication on the degree of resistance to the disease. We publish the PTAs as a percentage proof, with bulls with above 0 PTAs showing a greater degree of resistance in having daughters becoming infected with TB. For farms affected by TB, it's advisable to take note of this index and avoid using bulls with negative TB advantage scores. For now, the TB advantage is a standalone index, therefore it is not included in the economic indexes covered in the next section of this tutorial. With the price of rearing recognised as a considerable cost, for farmers wanting to improve the survival rates of their calves, we publish the calf survival PTAs. Calculated from BCMS data from calves being tagged until survival up to 10 months of age, we can identify those bulls which have a greater inbuilt ability to survive the early months of life. Higher numbers are favourable, and each percentage point change in a PTA results on average in a 1 percentage point improvement in calf survival rates of progeny. The final trait to highlight, and arguably one of the most important traits to consider in bull selection, is the lifespan index. Whereas other traits may give us an indication of survival, the lifespan index is the only direct measure of the lifespan of a milking cow. Using bulls with higher lifespan proofs will provide a greater change of daughters lasting in your herd. The current top lifespan transmitters are able to breed daughters which produce nearly a full lactation more than the average bull today. So for farms seeking to improve cow longevity and have fewer cows lost due to forced culling, a positive lifespan PTA should be a #1 priority in bull selection. That concludes the overview of the main trait groups to consider. Several other PTAs are available for bull selection. These include, among others, the functional type traits, as well as milking speed and temperament. Further background information on the use of these, as well as the traits covered in this tutorial, is available on the AHDB website. Now that you are familiar with the traits we evaluate and why these are important to be considered in genetic selection, you're ready to take the quiz to test your knowledge. Then move on to tutorial 2, where we see how to use these traits in the most efficient way, using selection indexes.